UFC 303 predictions.
I see my haters proud of me now. When I'm around, it's all smiles. I took over my whole town.
UFC 303 is here. It's been through a lot of changes throughout the entire lead up to this fight, but it's still a very, very solid card that I'm really excited for. So with that being said, the first fight on the prelims I want to talk about is the very first fight of the night. We got Ricky Simón versus Vinicius Oliveira. It wasn't too long ago when Ricky Simón was the next hot thing in the UFC, reeling off 4 wins in a row. But as of late, he has been on a 2-fight skid, with one of those being a knockout loss to Song Yadong, which is nothing to hold your head down about. I feel like Song Yadong is going to have a bright future, while Vinicius Oliveira is coming off of a knockout of the year contender with a flying knee that landed right there. Absolutely insane. Very, very fun fight, especially to open up the card. But with that being said, in this fight, I feel like Vinicius Oliveira gets it done. Probably inside the distance. I want to say TKO knockout by the middle of the second round. I'm rocking with Vinicius. The next fight I'll talk about is Mr. Peyton Talbot versus Giannis Guillemori. Guillemori is coming to this fight as one of the bigger underdogs in UFC history. The last time I checked, it was plus 900. Peyton Talbot is one of my favorite prospects. Go watch that video if you haven't. Really, really good fighters on that list. Yeah, I think Peyton Talbot gets it done. I think Peyton Talbot introduces himself into a lot of people in the UFC sphere with this fight here, especially being kind of early on the card for the free portion of the card. I feel like there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on it, and I feel like he puts on an absolute show. I'm taking Peyton Talbot by second round knockout. The next prelim I want to talk about is Mr. Joe Pyfer versus Marc-Andre Barriault. Both fighters are coming off of losses. Jack Hermansson beat Joe Pyfer in his last fight, kind of took him to the late rounds and drug him in deep waters and drowned him. It is what it is. I feel like Jack Hermansson was a little bit of a too high. I think he was a little bit too high of a step up in competition for Joe Pyfer at this point in his career. I think he bounces back just fine. I think we get an absolute slugfest, hopefully on the feet between Marc-Andre Barriault and Joe Pyfer. And I think Joe Pyfer catches Marc-Andre Barriault chins first, and I got him winning by first round knockout or on points. I know that's a very, very drastic difference in prediction of picks, the way the fight ends, but that's how I see it going. For all the other prelim fights, here's my predictions. Yeah, I like those fights too. I just want to get right into these main card predictions. Those 3 prelims I said, though, really stick out to me. Opening up the main card of UFC 303, we have the Irishman Ian Gary taking on the Bellator veteran Michael Venom Page. Michael Venom Page is coming into this fight after pretty much dominating his fight with Kevin Holland in his UFC debut, while Ian Gary is coming into this fight after kind of dismantling Jeff Neal, and he's also currently still undefeated. Ian Gary says he wants to take the next step up in the UFC and be considered one of the best, and a win over Michael Venom Page would do that. I just don't see him doing that. I'm taking MVP by either a knockout or decision. Either one of those I feel like is a very, very high possibility of happening. I feel like MVP is just going to frustrate Ian Gary on the feet. Now, if Ian Gary comes in with a game plan to wrestle, which I think he should, we might be talking about a different story, but I don't think he does. I don't think his pride will let him do that. I think he's going to try to prove that he's a better striker, and I simply don't think he's the better striker in this situation. I'm taking MVP. The next fight we have after that is Mayra Bueno Silva versus Macy Sazon. I'm going to be completely honest here. Completely honest. I don't know too much about Macy Sazon or Sazon. I don't know how to say her name, but I think I'm going to rock with Mayra Bueno Silva. I know she lost to Raquel Pennington in her last fight. I still think Mayra Bueno Silva has very, very high potential in this division, even though she did lose her last championship belt. I'm taking Mayra Bueno Silva by decision or submission. Following that fight, we have Anthony Smith, Mr. Save the Day, Mr. Fraud Checker himself, taking on a middleweight at 205 in Roman Dolidze. Roman Dolidze in his last fight did not look that good against Nazarene Imanov, but then again, Nazarene Imanov is looking fantastic as he did pick up and win over Jared Cannonier in UFC Louisville probably about a month ago now. Anthony Smith is coming off of a huge upset win over Victor Paterno in UFC Brazil, or UFC 302, I think. No, it might have been 301. It's the card that was in Rio. Yeah, I think this is a fun fight for Anthony Smith. I think he gets another win under his belt. Roman Dolidze moving up at, 20 pounds on a short notice against Anthony Smith, somebody who's not known for knockout power, I can say. But he knows how to win fights, and he probably does get a knockout here. Probably TKO from exhaustion. Not exhaustion, but like wearing him down over the round. So I'll say Anthony Smith by a third round finish, or Anthony Smith by a decision. In the co-main event of the night, it is now bumped up to a 155-pound contest at lightweight. We have Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopez. Should be a banger of a fight still. Still should be a banger of a fight. They moved it up because Brian Ortega was already planning to move up, and he just couldn't make 146. So they decided to move it up. No harm, no foul. They agreed to it. So let's play ball here. I think this is a huge advantage for Brian Ortega on the ground. If he's able to get the fight to the ground, it's going to be a really good time, a really good day to beat Brian Ortega. With the extra 10 pounds that he did not have to cut, I feel like he's going to be fantastic there. On the feet, I feel like Diego Lopez has a huge advantage, an absolute huge advantage. I think Brian Ortega needs to get this fight to the ground as soon as possible. I think he does that. I think he's able to get Diego Lopez to the ground. I think he's able to work. Either way, if he's on his back or he's in top control, I feel like he does a lot of damage when he has his position on the ground. Now, don't get me wrong, Diego Lopez is no slouch. I just think Brian Ortega gets it done. Who do you have in this one? Let me know. In the main event of the night, we got Alex Poatan Pereira rematching Yuri Prochazka. Banger of a fight. This is a banger of a fight. I love the rematch. I would have loved to see Conor versus Michael Chandler, but I'm not mad at this. I'm not mad at this at all. Alex Pereira knocked him out in the first round. Well, not in the first round, but in the first fight. Yuri said he protested it. He didn't like the stoppage, even though he agreed to it when he was in the cage. It is what it is. I feel like this fight really comes down to if Yuri Prochazka learned lessons from his last fight. He was doing good in the first round. He's touching Pereira in the first round. He did his thing in the first round. He's kind of got sloppy. I guess he didn't respect the power that Alex Pereira had, and Alex Pereira showed him. He showed him, and it was quick. It looked pretty easy for him. But with all that being said, something in me is not letting me take Poatan. It's not letting me take Poatan. It's saying rock with the samurai. It's telling me to rock with the samurai over Poatan. And I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm taking Yuri Prochazka. I do not think this fight goes the distance either way. If you don't want to pick a winner either way, this fight's not going the distance. But I am taking Yuri Prochazka by knockout in the championship rounds. How do y'all see this fight going? Let me know. This should be a very fun night. This should be a very fun night of fights. I'm super excited for it. Tell me your favorite fight on the card. My favorite fight is, well, the fight I'm most looking forward to is probably the Ian Gary versus MVP fight. That should be a banger of a fight. Yeah, if you like this video, make sure you do it. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe. Like always, be good people. Peace.